this video, we're going to learn how to solve for absolute values, equations, and inequality. So here we see we have an equality and we have absolute value. So we're going to be very systematic, and we'll use this in all of our problem solving. We're going to use the concept of GEMDAS. So grouping, exponents, multiplication or division, whichever comes first, adding or subtracting, whatever comes first. So typically, when we go to simplify, we go this way, and that's simplifying. But when we're solving, we're going to go backwards. So that means we go from bottom to top. So that's solving. So think that you're undoing a mystery, so you have to go backwards. So the first thing that we need to understand is that absolute value, nothing goes in. Think of it as jail. Nothing goes in, everything wants out. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get this alone. That is a grouping symbol. So that's going to be the last thing we do, is to get our grouping symbol alone. So let's see. Let's start from the beginning. We're going to ask ourselves, is anything being added or subtracted to this grouping symbol? The answer is yes. We have this minus 6 here, so we're going to undo the 6. So then that leaves us with 3 absolute value, and I don't care what's inside the absolute value right now. I'm just going to call it absolute value. So that gives us 12 on the other side of the equal sign. So again, my absolute value is in a group, so I'm still dealing with a grouping symbol. But now I'm going to ask myself, do I have anything else being added or subtracted to that grouping symbol? And the answer is no. So then I ask myself, okay, is anything being multiplied or divided to that grouping symbol? And the answer is yes. This is 3 times my absolute value. So I have to unmultiply, which means I'm going to divide both sides by 3. And then I have the absolute value of x minus 3 divided by 2 is equal to 4. Okay, so this is a very important part right here. So I want you to take note of that. This is very important. Okay, I'm going to use a different color pen. That pen's not running too well. So very important, you have to always get the absolute value alone before solving. Okay, so that's the big first step. So now that we have this, we're going to break this up into 2 groups. And I'm going to call it case A and case B. So case A, I'm going to make this a little different than this, but case B I'm simply going to copy. So this here I'm going to copy, and I'm going to put it here. I'm going to have the absolute value of x minus 3 divided by 2 equals 4. And case A, I'm going to copy my absolute value, x minus 3 divided by 2 equals, but I'm going to change this to negative 4. Okay, so that's my case A and my case B. Now that I have it in case A and case B, I no longer need the absolute value signs. So I'm going to write this again. I'm just showing you all the steps. When you get used to this, you don't have to do as many steps. So now I'm going to be solving two equations at the same time. So going back to my GEMDAS, okay, I'm still solving. So I'm going to ask myself, where is the x? Well, the x is actually being grouped in the numerator by that division sign on both of these. So let's just put that in there. That's being grouped. So what is happening to that grouping? Well, I have a division. It's being divided by 2, which means I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. I can do that on this one as well, because it's kind of the same thing. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. So now I'm left with x minus 3 equals negative 8 on this side. And over here, this is 2 divided by 2, which is 1. So now I'm left with x minus 3 equals 8. I'm going to get two separate answers. So now my x is broken out of any grouping on both sides. It's alone. So I can say, what's happening to the x? Well, the x has a negative 3. Negative 3 is being subtracted from x. So I can add 3 to both sides. I can do the same thing here. So then that means when I add, now I have x is equal to negative 5. And here I have x is equal to 11. So those are my solutions. Because my original was an equals, we call this an or. So that means this means or. If I were to put this on a number line, I have one variable. So I'm simply going to mark it as my value of x is exactly negative 5, or my value of x is exactly 11. And I would keep it like that. So in the next videos, I'm going to show you how to do the inequality. I'm not going to belabor all the steps again. We're going to use the same exact problem.